Hello all, Rick here with an update on Star Trek Prodigy and a simple question. So what the hell is going on with the timeline in Star Trek Prodigy? For a recap, the show has been softly centred around the mystery of the USS Protostar NX-76884. It was discovered within a mine, the Tars Lamora prison, owned by a man referred to as the Diviner. A diviner is typically a term used to refer to a person who employed fabled divination tactics in order to locate mineral wealth through supernatural means, but it is an apt title for someone who is searching for a particular thing in a mine. He and his vat-grown daughter are the last survivors of his people, the Vaal Na'akat, their homeworld called Solum. Here's the thing. A flashback recently revealed that he had been searching for the Protostar in that mine for at least 17 years, and from all the promotional interviews we were told that this series of Trek takes place in 2383, 5 years after Star Trek Voyager returned from the Delta Quadrant. This would place the crashing of the Protostar at around 2366, right during the midst of the Next Generation era Trek, and this vessel exhibits technology and a look that just doesn't fit with that era. But this goes beyond modern Star Trek attempting to redesign everything because it wanted to, established looks be damned, a la Discovery, because everything else in this show has remained true to pre-existing designs. So, the USS Protostar was very deliberately designed to look different. Now, plot point 2 and 3. The vessel is the host to a hologram, Captain Janeway, to serve as a Delta Quadrant advisory hologram to aid in whatever mission had the Protostar assigned to the Delta Quadrant under its captain, Chakotay. If the vessel was launched in 2366, as 17 years ago would suggest, then at that time neither captain was anywhere near captain in rank, let alone experienced enough to have an adaptive hologram made of them and their experiences in the Delta Quadrant. This is why I always pegged the Protostar as being a post-Voyager vessel. It made no sense to have Janeway aboard if Voyager hadn't occurred yet, but now we learn about its missing status for at least 17 years, possibly longer, which leaves one of three solutions. 1. My first thought was time travel is involved. The recording of Chakotay doesn't look very old, but admittedly it is hard to tell through the animation and the bad quality of the security footage. He is wearing a uniform that we haven't seen and a badge that is not current with the square-backed badge nor the Picard era badge. However, both of these could be Protostar-specific designs, as the vessel was a prototype testing out new technology, probably the Protostar drive itself. If it was launched at some point beyond Voyager's return, say around 2400 or so, then the technology we see at play, as well as the look, would fit in a Trek universe 20 years post-Nemesis easily. Perhaps the Protostar's drive had some issue that could result in time travel. Messing with a new drive and warp can cause all sorts of errors, especially when things start brushing into the realms of transwarp. The footage also shows the Diviner's droid henchman aboard the Protostar immediately before its accident, and possibly a boarding party, but they could have been pre-existing aboard it for whatever reason. Option 2 is one that I've also seen voiced in the comments, and that is that we, as an audience, have been lied to, and that the date is not really 2383, but perhaps that is just the date the Protostar was launched, 17 years ago. It could now be closer to the early 25th century, but there's no evidence that I can see to support this either, but maybe it would help explain the presence of so many species from the Alpha and Beta quadrants. We do hear tell of a Tellarite sleeper ship that possibly bore Janko and Pog to the Delta Quadrant, but we are also seeing signs of Klingon wrecks and technology all over the place, and many other remnants of areas of the galaxy thousands of light years away. It could be that after Voyager there was a bit of a space race to the Delta Quadrant, leading to an influx of aliens from the other end of the galaxy. After all, the prison mine was populated by the unwanted, and I suspect that these non-Delta native inhabitants are brought to the Diviner as just that, unwanted interlopers. Voyager and Starfleet, after all, left a bit of a sour taste in the mouths of many in the Delta Quadrant. Option 3 is the least appealing, and it is that there is no answer because it's a kids' show and no one puts any thought into this. Fortunately, I doubt that is the case, because what is the point of doubling down on creating a Star Trek universe spanning multiple properties if there is no linearity? The show is aimed at children as an introduction to Star Trek for a younger demographic, so it makes sense to want to highlight Trek staples through the eyes of non-Starfleet personnel. This is a Klingon, they are warriors. This is a Ferengi, they are schemers and merchants. This is a transporter, it's a teleporter. These are takeaways that a first-time viewer can translate into other shows easily enough, and for there to be no timeline or coherent chronology would sabotage a very reason for this show's existence. I have also seen speculation that the Protostar is from another timeline altogether, which I guess it could be, but with a hologram Janeway it would have to be a near identical one, and aside from the look of the vessel and the transporter effect, I don't see much else Kelvin universe about it. If this is the case, then wow, I did not see that coming, but multiverses are in now, right? Plus, the holodeck contained detailed information on Prime Reality characters and ships that just seems strange to have such a focus on Prime Reality characters if the ship was from an alternate universe. Although there were also these alternate future badges among the crew files, so it's not entirely off the board. So far, I'm guessing time travel until we get more information. I think the Diviner attempted to steal the Protostar when he found out Starfleet's experimental new drive could accidentally be made to time hop, perhaps to undo something that led him to be the last of his kind. He attacked, and Captain Chakotay hid the vessel or abandoned it to a random destination. Then, what happened to the original crew? Unsure, but the Diviner was aboard for the time hop, is cast off but knows the Protostar's rough position and starts an operation to unearth it. The mystery deepens, and as I said in the intro, it has been the core puzzle of the show, so I'm going to enjoy the riddle of trying to figure it out. As for how the show's unfolding so far, it's fine, a little too overt for my tastes when it comes to character development, and by that I mean it's all clearly spelled out rather than left for you to piece together, but that's because every episode is around 25 minutes and it's simplified for younger audiences. It's hard not to compare a show like this to the Clone Wars, and so far it's coming off like the earlier seasons of that show more than something like Bad Batch. So, what's your guess, or do you have another theory not mentioned here on the origin of the Protostar? It did strike me as a bit rushed that the Protostar's development would have been so tight in the timeline alluded to, so maybe this plot will resolve that. Thanks for watching this speculative review video on the Protostar, and if you've not checked it out yet, I did a video on just what the crew of Voyager got up to after they returned to Earth based on the books, games and shows, and that might appeal if you've been keeping an eye on Prodigy. Until the next one, I've been Rick, thanks again, and goodbye.